Hi there, this is Matt with State of Flux here with a review for Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, the final film in the Heisei Era Godzilla movies, and a fitting series finale overall. I think this is an incredibly strong movie that is poignant. It is beautiful at times. The action and scope of the film is epic. And it is scary, genuinely scary for the first time. Really hearkening down on the whole monster movie plot lines that have been kind of lacking in these monster movies. The monster in this, Destoroyah, is a genuine, viable threat. And that's something that I really appreciated. You can see the strong overtones taken from Aliens, right down to the double jaw. The gun battles that happen in the film are pretty strong and whatnot. Especially for, my understanding, lower budget movie, they get a lot out of this. And it's also a strong sequel. It's a sequel to Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, continuing the story of how Godzilla has absorbed so much energy that he is ready to combust. And he is a ticking time bomb throughout this entire thing. He is glowing orange, radiating orange and red. He is fire incarnate, nuclear energy incarnate, and he is ready to blow. So this whole film kind of counts down to the moment that he is about to combust. And that is a strong element at play. But what else is strong is that it's a sequel to each individual film within the Heisei era. It all culminates in a very strong finale, but also is a spectacular sequel to the original Godzilla or Gojira, bringing back the character of Emiko and descendants of some of the other characters who create a long line of lineage directly to this film, right down to the oxygen destroyer itself that Dr. Serizawa had made. That is where Destoroyah comes from. Now, I keep referring to him as Destoroyah. That's because that's what the box art and the movie art in subtitles tell me he is called. However, throughout the entire film, he is exclusively referred to as Destroyer. He is a continuation of that oxygen destroyer. He is Godzilla's antithesis. And when the two meet, what they meet is a volatile mixture. This is nature versus man-made science gone amok. Both of these creatures are created by the mad scientists out there. Destoroyah is exactly what Dr. Serizawa feared. And so in that sense, this is an exceptional continuation of that story trajectory that never really got picked up quite so well. And while it's done very well in this movie, I will say I wish there would have been a little stronger allegories at play, because that's kind of what really makes that first movie soar. And this is a embodiment of his fears, but the allegories are kind of lost, at least visually. But that is not to take away from the film as is and the story as it unfolds. I also appreciated just the scope of the film. This is a movie that has Godzilla, not one, but two Godzillas, because this is Godzilla Jr. as well. Little Godzilla is mostly grown up. He is in his mature adolescent stage. He's a teenager, for want of a better terminology. And he takes on Destoroyah as well. And the battles between Destroyer and Little Godzilla, as well as the Prime Godzilla, are quite epic and strong and visually interesting. I complained about the darkness and the low-budge feel of the previous film, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. None of that is felt here. It's just as dark, but everything feels strong, it feels earned. And it could be that the strength of writing helps elevate what the lower budget can't really hold up. But You don't feel the low budget of this film. It is very good. This is in my top 5 favorite Godzilla movies, and the second best of the Heisei Era films, after only Godzilla vs. Biollante. This is marks an end to the Heisei Era of Godzilla films, which is disappointing, I'm not going to lie. I liked the continuation, the continuity established within these films. That's something that I've always been interested in, and this is done very well. And it's a shame we go out in this style, but we go out on top, and we go out poignantly. I'm going to hit spoilers here for the rest of the review, so if you don't care to know how this story unfolds, this is the place to dip out. Very good movie, recommend it. Alright, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. The moment that Godzilla Jr. takes on the Destroyer monster and ultimately succumbs to it and dies, shocked me. I did not expect that to happen. I figured, and had been spoiled for me, that Godzilla Prime, the main Godzilla, dies in this. That had been spoiled for me back in 1997 when I read a magazine article about it, before the release of the American Godzilla in 1998. Now, I had heard that Toho had killed off their original character in the original franchise to allow the Americans to establish something new. So I was expecting that. I did not expect Godzilla Jr. to die. So, that surprised me and shocked me, but it hit me emotionally when Godzilla came face to face with it. And there's that poignant moment where Akira Ifukube's music really soars and shines. Now, he has been the unsung shining star for every single one of these movies that he has put his hands on. And I'd say at this point there were 20-ish movies. He'd probably done about 15 scores of them. And that's something that I never really touched on. That first Godzilla movie, Gojira, has one of the greatest scores. If I'm writing, that's one of the prime scores that I will sit down and listen to while I write. It's just so moving and haunting and beautiful. He carried on great themes throughout a lot of these films, especially in the latter half of the Showa era. And his return in the Heisei Era movies kind of surprised me, but this, my understanding, is his final score for a Godzilla movie. And when at first I was listening to it, the first third of the movie, I was like, oh, this sounds kind of dated. It sounds like something from a different era, which it does. It sounds like a Showa era Godzilla score. But the moment that turned for me was during the death of the young Godzilla, the juvenile. His music really kind of brings it back up, and you feel his presence. He is such a great composer, and that scene really works emotionally. And then when Godzilla finally goes up in smoke and dies, it is a powerful moment. This is the loss of Godzilla. Now I'm going to hit on the only 2 negatives I have to say about the film. The first is the death of Destoroyah happens essentially off screen. You kind of see him going down, but you don't see the death shot so much. It just kind of camera focuses its attention more on Godzilla. I feel like we as an audience needed to see Destoroyah completely destroyed before we see Godzilla's final moment. But I get the want to make that moment about Godzilla and Godzilla exclusively. When Godzilla goes up and gets taken out, it is powerful. And I like the image that you are shown for that is essentially a direct lift of the first movie, of Godzilla kind of disappearing into bones, just done in sort of then modern day special effects of 1995. And it works. It looks great. And it's also powerful and emotional. Which brings me to the end, which is that the movie doesn't stop there. The movie should have one last little coda where you see the characters and we give them their send-off, which the movie gives, but then everybody turns their attention back to that area, and then the camera zooms in and you see a new Godzilla rise. Presumably the juvenile had gotten the spirit passed on to him from the Godzilla Prime and is the new Godzilla. I don't think that's needed. I think it works more emotionally if this is just the end. And for all subsequent rewatches, this was my first time watching it, for all subsequent rewatches, that is where I will stop the film. I had thought I'd seen this movie back in the day, but as I was watching it, I hadn't. I think what I'd seen was like a retrospective on Godzilla, so I had certain key images in my head of what this film was, but I'd never actually seen the film. That became quite apparent as I was watching, because there's definitely stuff I would have remembered all the way through had I actually watched it. But for all subsequent rewatches, when Godzilla goes and we get the last little coda with the humans, that's where the movie's going to stop for me. It didn't need its final moment. That said, I do like the end credit scenes where you just kind of get lifts of all the Godzilla films within this chronology of movies. So far, I would have to say that the Heisei Era is without question my favorite era of Godzilla movies, and I am sad to see it go, but I'm excited to see what's on the horizon. The next Godzilla I will be reviewing for you is the American Godzilla, and I'm excited to revisit that, especially having done such a deep dive into the traditional Godzilla movies that came before it. So, you'll have that to look forward to next week. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and let me know what you thought of this film in the comments down below. Peace.